I was doing a play called Lost in Yonkers on Broadway. And we had the same dresser who'd worked with him, a girl named Laura. It was wonderful. Laura Beatty. And she told Al that he should come and see this play because she wanted to see me in this play. I was playing this gangster. It was fun part. So I didn't know Pacino came on some night and saw this play. And then like 3 days later, I got a call to come in and audition for this Glengarry Glen Ross, which of course I knew as a play, David Mamet's play. And then I auditioned. Jamie Foley was the director, who would eventually direct a bunch of House of Cards. Wonderful, wonderful guy. And I got the part. Well, I didn't quite get the part. They were going to bring together the actors that they thought they were going to give the parts to on a Saturday at Al's office. And they asked me if I would come and do a read-through. And I said, who's going to be there? And they said, well, so-and-so and so-and-so and so. And then Jack Lemmon is flying in. And I said, don't tell Mr. Lemmon that I'm doing the read-through. Is that possible? And they were like, sure. So I'll never forget this. Jack was sitting in a chair in Pacino's office doing the New York Times crossword puzzle as he did every day. He's like this. And I walked in the door and he went, oh, Jesus Christ. Is it possible you could get a job without me? Jesus Christ. I'm so tired of holding up your end of it. Oh, my God. Jesus. So I got the job because of Pacino. And it, you know, it was really one of the first major roles that I ever had in a film. And, you know, to be working with that group.
Yeah, that's like one of the greatest ensemble casts ever. We got Al Pacino, Jack Lemmon, Alec Baldwin, Alan Arkin, Ed Harris, you, Jonathan Pryce. It's just incredible. And I have to say, I mean, maybe you can comment. You've talked about how much of a mentor and a friend Jack Lemmon has been. That's one of his greatest performances ever.
Ever.
You have a scene at the end of the movie with him that was really powerful, like firing on all cylinders. You're playing disdain to perfection, and he's playing desperation to perfection. What a scene. What was that like? Just like at the top of your game, the two of you.
Well, by that time, we had done Long Day's Journey to Night in the theater. We'd done a mini series called The Murder of Mary Fagan on NBC. We'd done a film called Dad that Gary David Goldberg directed with Ted Danson. So this was the fourth time we were working together, and we knew each other. He'd become my father figure. And I don't know if you know that I originally met Jack Lemmon when I was very, very young. He was doing a production at the Marte Perform of a Sean O'Casey play called Juno and the Paycock with Walter Matthau and Maureen Stapleton. And on a Saturday in December of 1974, my junior high school drama class went to a workshop. It was called How to Audition. And we did this workshop. Many schools in Southern California were part of this Drama Teachers Association. So we got these incredible experiences of being able to go see professional productions and be involved in these workshops or festivals. So I had to get up and do a monologue in front of Mr. Lemmon when I was 13 years old. And he walked up to me at the end of that, and he put his hand on my shoulder, and he said, that was just terrific. He said, no, everything I've been talking about, you just did. Yeah, what's your name? I said, Kevin. He said, well, let me tell you something. When you get finished with high school, as I'm sure you're going to go on and do theater, you should go to New York and you should study to be an actor because this is what you're meant to do with your life. And he was like an idol. And 12 years later, I read in the New York Times that he was coming to Broadway to do this production of A Long Day's Journey to Night, a year and some months after I read this article. And I was like, I'm going to play Jamie in that production. And I then, with a lot of opposition, because the cast and director didn't want to see me, they said that the director, Jonathan Miller, wanted movie actors to play the two sons. And ultimately, I found out that Jonathan Miller, the director, was coming to New York to do a series of lectures at Alice Tully Hall. And I went to try to figure out how I could maybe meet him. And I was sitting in that theater listening to this incredible lecture he was doing, and sitting next to me was an elderly woman. I mean, elderly, 80-something, and she was asleep. But sticking out of her handbag, which was on the floor, was a invitation to a cocktail reception in honor of Dr. Jonathan Miller. And so I thought, she's tired. She's probably going to go home. So I took that and walked into this cocktail reception and ultimately went over to Dr. Miller, who was incredibly kind, and said, "Just sit down. I'm always very curious what brings young people to my lectures." And I said to him, "Eugene O'Neill brought me here." And he was like, what? I've always wanted to meet him. Where is he? And I told him that I'd been trying for 7 months to get an audition for a Long Day's Journey, and that his American cast directors were telling my agents that he wanted big American movie stars. And at that moment, he turned and he saw one of those casting directors who was there that night. Because I knew he was going to be in New York starting auditions that week. And she was staring daggers at me, and he just got it. And he said, "Someone have a pen." And he took the little paper and started writing. He said, "Listen, Kevin, there are many situations in which casting directors have a lot of say and a lot of power and a lot of leverage. And then there are other situations where they just take directors' messages. And on this one, they're taking my messages. This is where I'm staying. Make sure you people get to me. We start auditions on Thursday." And on Thursday, I had an opportunity to come in and audition for this play that I've been working on and preparing. And at the end of it, I did 4 scenes. At the end of it, he said to me that unless someone else came in and blew him against the wall like I had just done, as far as he was concerned, I pretty much had the part, but I couldn't tell my agents that yet because I had to come back and read with Mr. Lemmon. And so 3 months later, in August of 1985, I found myself in a room with Jack Lemmon again at 890 Broadway, which is where they rehearse a lot of the Broadway plays. And we did 4 scenes together, and I was toppling over him. I was pushing him. I was relentless. And I'll never forget at the end of that, Lemmon came over to me. He put his hand on my shoulder and he said, "That was your touch of terrific. I never thought we'd find the rotten kid, but he's it. Jesus Christ, what the hell was that?" And I ended up spending the next year of my life with that man.
So it turns out he was right.
Yeah.
This world works in mysterious ways. It also speaks to the fact of the power of somebody you look up to giving words of encouragement, because those can just reverberate through your whole life and just like make the path clear.
We used to joke that if every contract came with a Jack Lemmon clause, it would be a more beautiful world.
Beautifully said. Jack Lemmon is one of the greatest actors ever. What do you think makes him so damn good?
Wow. I think he truly set out in his life to accomplish what his father said to him on his deathbed. His father was dying. His father was, by the way, called the Donut King in Boston. And not in the entertainment business at all. He was literally owned a donut company. And when he was passing away, Jack said, "The last thing my father said to me was, go out there and spread a little sunshine." And I truly think that's what Jack loved to do. I remember this, and I don't know if this is will answer your question, but I think it's revealing about what he's able to do and what he was able to do and how that ultimately influenced what I was able to do. Sam Mendes had never directed a film before American Beauty. And so what he did was he took the best elements of theater and applied them to the process. So we rehearsed it like a play. in a soundstage where everything was laid out like it would be in a play, and this couch will be here. And he'd sent me a couple of tapes. He'd sent me 2 cassette tapes, one that he'd like to call pre-Lester, before he begins to move in a new direction, and then post-Lester. And they just were different songs. And then he said to me one day, and I always thought this was brilliant of Sam to use Lemmon, knowing what Lemmon meant to me. He said, when was the last time you watched The Apartment? And I said, I don't know. I mean, I love that movie so much. He goes, I want you to watch it again, and then let's talk. So I went and I watched the movie again. And we sat down, and Sam said, what Lemmon does in that film is incredible, because there is never a moment in the movie where we see him change. He just evolves. And he becomes the man he becomes because of the experiences that he has through the course of the film. But there's this remarkable consistency in who he becomes. And that's what I need you to do as Lester.